Hey, lovely viewers, thank you so much indeed for joining us this evening on Just a Minute. Just a Minute is a programme where we look to receive your phone calls on a chosen topic. And this evening we're talking about how influential is music on the youth of today. So join me on today's programme. We have our lovely Yemi Bologun, our resident Our Mornings and Voice of the Wilderness presenter. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's great to be here with you tonight.
Thank you. And we have Alan Tunn. You may know him from Bible study. How are you doing, Alan?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Si.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's the chief rabbi.
So as you can see, we've got our two youthful presenters for their expertise this evening. So we are asking the question, how influential is music on our youth of today? We look at the secular music industry, we listen to some of the songs on the radio perhaps sometimes. Should Christians be listening to secular music, or should we just be staying with worship music? We're also going to be asking, what about playing secular music in a church? It's just a question. How would you feel about that? Tonight's programme really is about you, so we want to encourage your phone calls. Just remember, you have 1 minute to make your comment. So please call now, 0208 972 1408. Sometimes we get a big amount of calls towards the end of the show, and viewers often tell us we didn't get a chance to bring our opinion across on the programme. So we really want to encourage you right now, start calling early to ensure that you can be on the programme. So Yemi, first of all, how influential is music on our youth of today?
Music is very, very powerful. Music influences almost everybody on the planet on different levels, especially when you look at the youth. They go to concerts, they buy tickets. Before I became born again, I bought a ticket for £100 to go see Michael Jackson at Wembley Stadium. And I just saw this little tiny figure miles away for £100. And, you know, they are influenced by these guys. They dress like them. You do the Jerry curls and everything in those days to look like Michael Jackson. Everything they did, the platforms, the baggy trousers, in every way, they are easily influenced because that's what it is, because they see them as idols. Yeah. They call them idols.
Yeah, Alan, we often hear about the dark side of music, the music industry as well. Is there really a dark side, or is this all just a conspiracy theory?
There is a dark side. There's always a dark side. Because the Bible tells us that, well, this is a popular version, but it is rooted in the Bible, that Satan was a worship leader in heaven. Now, these are human words to describe something that we don't really understand. But in essence, that is the case. All right? God created music. With Satan's fall, he corrupted it. And whereas God wants to use music for worshipping God, Satan wants to use worship to turn mankind away from God and focus on Satan.
Interesting. Just to go through some of the statistics that we have available this evening, 45 billion audio streams were purchased in 2016. That's 45 billion streams. This year, in January this year, the highest viewed video on YouTube is a song called Despacito by Luis Fonsi. And so far it's had 3.1 billion views on YouTube. So we're going to go into our first video first of all, and I want to encourage you, start making your phone calls early to ensure that you can give your opinion live on the programme. 0208 972 1408. The first video we're going to take a look at is a real inside look into the music industry and also the Illuminati. Let's have a look at this and see what you say.
So I'm leaving Sony, a free agent, owning half of Sony. So, I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know. So, the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album. And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
See, during the end of his life, Michael Jackson started to speak out against the things that was going on in the music industry. But it was much more than him just trying to get out of a record contract. Mike was involved in something much bigger than that, and he was frustrated with the situation he was in. So out of frustration, he called Tommy Mottola a devil.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
Now, Tommy Mottola was the head of Sony Music at that time, and Michael Jackson and Tommy Mottola didn't get along at all. because Mike knew that he was only being used by Tommy Mottola. Mike was tired of being a slave, and he wanted his freedom. Now, Michael's father, Joe Jackson, got Michael and his brothers into the music industry when they were young kids. But Michael was always the standout star, so the Illuminati came after him. They knew he would be the one to bring in the big money. So they told little Mike everything he wanted to hear, and they promised him the whole world. All he had to do to get it was sign his life away and sell his soul to the devil. But after he died on June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson sold 31 million records worldwide in less than a year. Well, Sony signed a deal after Michael Jackson died with his estate worth $250 million. They offer you the good life, fame, fortune, and everything you desire. But in return, you gotta sell them your soul. This is not make-believe. This stuff is really happening in the music industry. Let me show you what Kanye West said at one of his concerts.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. I'm spaced out, dog. I be on that moon talk. I wonder if God asked Mike how to moonwalk.
He said, I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. Then he made a reference to God talking to Michael Jackson. Kanye West didn't just say that to be creative. He really sold his soul to the devil. You have to sell your soul to get to the level where he is. You gotta do what they tell you to do. You gotta act like they tell you to act. You gotta dress like they tell you to dress because they own you. They become your God and you have to worship them.
That you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He said, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. I said, thank you. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on, and it's placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master's cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive offices. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. As I tell many Christian parents, you can go home and count your kids' records, probably yours too, and count how many demons at least are there.
Here you see a chart of Michael Jackson's record sales from 2001 to 2009. But this is not the OK sign. This is a satanic hand symbol that represents 666, the seal of Satan. Here you see Beyonce. Here's Drake, 666 over one eye. Neo, 666. Shakira, 666. Justin Timberlake, that eye is the eye of Horus. Now Horus was one of the main gods that the Egyptians worshipped. That's why when you see this eye, you often see a pyramid with it, as you see here. This pyramid with the eye inside is the same symbol that Jay-Z always puts up.
Just a very interesting insight into the music industry, and it's interesting how we're influenced by music psychologically, mentally, and in so many different ways. Yemi, that was a real insight into music as well, and I guess it's a big, even more concern, especially as we have children, and we need to be thinking about the kind of music our children are listening to and the videos that they're watching.
It's very, very unfortunate because you see Michael Jackson there as a very young boy making that sign. At that time, he was already initiated. The moment he signed the contract, he was part of it. When he made that sign in those days, a lot of us who followed him, we didn't have a clue. It just looked like something special. And today you see a lot of signs being made with fingers. That's part of the whole deal. There are signs in the spiritual realm that people use, demonic forces use to show certain things they want to do in people's lives. So the problem now is that these guys are getting initiated. They go on big shows. Even when you see a big show with Jay-Z, everyone was holding their hands up with that sign as well. Yeah. It's like worshiping him, and he calls himself Jehovah. Yeah. That is the problem we have today. Kids don't have a clue about these things. The music sounds good, and we're just enjoying it. That's the problem.
I'm pleased to say we've got our first caller in. Wow. So we've got Patricia on the line. Patricia, welcome to the show. You've got 1 minute to make your comment, and your time starts now.
Good evening.
Hi.
I definitely don't agree with music for the Christians, partly because when I lived in South Africa, I had a tape that was by Mac Temperato where he backtracked a lot of the music. The music that was backtracked was Bridge Over Troubled Water, which was Silver Girl, Sail Along, which is to do with drugs. The other one was Hey Jude, and Sweet Lord was at the backtrack was Hare Krishna. Definitely, Christians should not be listening to that kind of music because it's a bad influence, and I don't think it's helping them. And a lot of the beat comes rather than the lyrics and the rhythm, which is very important in music. I also think that a lot of the lyrics on their bands are very demonic. And coming from the occult myself, I believe Christians should stay away from it, and even world people should stay away from it.
Can I ask you, Patricia?
My opinion.
How was the transformation? You said you came from the occult, and I believe, are you now a Christian?
Oh yeah, I've been a Christian for 33 years.
How did you make that transformation?
Well, I made the transformation by someone talking to me in South Africa. They came to me, but someone had already left a seed in me that said, if you want to bury your head in the sand, go ahead and bury it. And that's what came back to me when I was down and terrible and coming away from the occult. And God brought me across a person that took me to church. And when I went to church, they were asking about who would like to give their hearts to the Lord.
Wow, amazing.
But it wasn't easy coming out because I had a spirit of suicide. Even when I came out, the enemy was still there.
Wow.
So it's very bad news to be involved with any of that kind of music.
Thank you so much indeed, Patricia. Wow, that's incredible. To hear someone that was involved in the occult and she's now a Christian. And it's interesting because she was talking about she felt suicidal, and we listened to we've been watching a lot of videos the last couple of days, Yemi and Alan, to research on this particular topic. We look at heavy metal, we look at rock music, and the words that they use, the lyrics that they use, they're very evil words, and you can understand why people really would feel suicidal.
Yeah, because they are negative words. Look at some groups, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and I think it was Black Sabbath that sang Highway to Hell. So can you imagine chanting Highway to Hell the whole day? And
the way these songs are manufactured and the way they're made, they're so cleverly constructed that they've got the hook, and you have that song in your head all day long. You listen to it once and it stays in your mind without even realizing. And it's the power of, you call it the power of the subconscious mind, because you're not even listening to the lyrics, so to speak. You're memorizing the lyrics, and the next thing you know, you're singing yourself the lyrics, but you don't really know what the real meaning of that song means. Alan, what do you think?
You're absolutely right. In my youth, there was a song, My Sweet Lord.
Ah, yes.
And then it's Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
But a lot of Christians, they heard the headline, My Sweet Lord, and they thought it was a Christian song, and it wasn't. It's this level of ignorance, especially younger people. They don't listen to all the lyrics, they listen to some of it, and then they get sucked in, and they get deceived.
That's right. Just like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
He had a very popular album, Songs in the Key of Life, and there's a particular track called Pastime Paradise. On that particular track, towards the end, he actually brought Hare Krishna guys. You hear them chanting Hare Rama, Hare Rama, and it's part of the music. The music sounds good, but there's an input there.
So my question is, how do we protect our young people? How do we protect our children? Because they freely can go on the internet, they can go onto things like YouTube, for example, they can type these videos in, these music lyrics. I mean, we look at how innocent our children are. They know the lyrics, they're singing the lyrics. They don't know, young children, they don't know the real meaning of certain words, but they'll memorize the lyrics and they're singing the lyrics. How do we monitor this, Yemi?
We need to educate the children. Like in my home, our children, we teach them and make them understand certain things you can't confess. I remember we used to, before I got born again, I used to sing, bye, bye, Mr. American Pie. It drove my Chevy to the levee and the levee was dry. And the good old boys were singing Whiskey and Rye, singing this will be the day that they will die. They said this is the day that I will die.
But we got to understand, we got to be practical on this as well, because our children, they go to school with their friends and they have other friends in the school who are listening to these kind of music. You're going to isolate your children. Talk about how we can influence and teach our children how to justify and determine a song with the wrong lyrics, evil lyrics, so to speak, to the right with the good ones. Anyway, we've got Diane on the line. Diane, are you there?
Hi. Yes.
Hi, Diane. You've got 1 minute to make your comment. Your time starts now.
Okay. All right. First of all, hi, Yemi. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Diane. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you for this topic. First of all, I just would like to mention, I do just want to say I feel that not all music, non-believing Christian music is bad. I think we do need to discern, but to kind of write off all music that is really bad and Christians shouldn't listen, I'm not sure if I agree with it, because I do believe a lot of it is bad and the enemy is using, but some I believe is, I guess, permissible. God would still, maybe... not condemn or judge us or whatever it is. But what I wanted to say is the sexualization in the songs. That's my point, actually.
Yeah.
I feel that the songs really sexualize a lot of the children of today, young ones. It also, as well, if you watch the music videos, like on MTV Base and so on, and it's like soft porn. It's terrible, like how this is being fed and freely given to kids. And I feel there needs to be more Christians, more parents putting pressure on the record labels, on such people like MTV, and the government to put more pressure and hold people accountable, because they are destroying the youth. This is why we have problems with teenage pregnancies and young people wanting to try out sex at a very early age because of the glamorization of it on these music videos and in the music that we listen to. So I think more, needs to be done. A lot of praying as well, as this is a spiritual matter on top of it.
Excellent, Diane, that's an excellent call. Thank you so much indeed for calling in. But we look at the different genres of music and how the different genres of music make us feel. We listen to, like Robert said, we listen to gospel music or worship music that makes us feel a peace, that makes us have a relationship with Christ. We feel closer with Christ. Whereas we look at other types of music, such as rock. You listen to some heavy metal rock music, your mood automatically changes. That certainly doesn't give you peace. You feel you're on the edge. What do you reckon, Yemi?
The reason I just remember the case of a gentleman I dealt with in Africa. He's Christian, born again, but not really strong yet. Then he said he went to a party, and at that party they were playing some really beautiful music. He said initially he resisted, then he got up to dance. When he started dancing and they asked him what drink he wanted, he said, "Give me a bottle of beer." Yeah. And before he knew it, he was gone. So
interesting.
So the music has power in it.
Yeah.
And there's a spiritual dimension.
Yeah.
That's why my wife's uncle was a great musician in Ghana. His name is Ganaba. He used to perform at the Royal Albert Hall. And they said when he played the African drum, the phantom drum, people go into trance at Royal Albert Hall here in England. Yeah. And that's how serious, there's a force behind it. Okay. That's why even when Saul was possessed by demons, when David played the harp, the demons departed because there was holy music coming. Yeah. And the demons cannot stay around such a situation. So if you can have holy music driving away demons, that means there's evil music that attracts the demons. So we need to know which is which.
Excellent. And it's interesting you say that, Yemi, because we've got this next video available. This is an interview with Gloria Estefan. You may remember her from the 80s and the 90s. And she has a very interesting interview. She's talking about the power of the African drums and how the possession that she received, how it can cause evilness and the devilness. Let's have a look at what she says.
On Let It Loose album, we decided we were going to delve into a different kind of rhythm, not a conga, not a cha-cha, do something a little different. So we went back to something called bembe, and what it was is the rhythm that they used in the Afro-Cuban religious ceremonies in Santeria, and that's the core of the song, Rhythm Is Gonna Get You. And the reason we came up with the idea of Rhythm Is Gonna Get You is because in some of the ceremonies that they use this music, sometimes the person is used as a vehicle for the spirit to speak through them, and they kind of get possessed, and they use the white handkerchiefs to kind of cleanse from the evil spirits, and that's where the idea came from in the video, why everyone's waving the white handkerchiefs. And it's not that we're involved in any way with this religion, but it's such a part of our heritage, musical heritage especially, that we wanted to do something that was technologically in the 80s, but went way back to the really origins of this music.
Thank you so much. And that's Gloria Estefan. It's interesting when especially when you hear the words coming out from the actual singers and the artists themselves, and they give us the real insight, because we can sit here and we can talk about the music industry, but like we saw in the first video with Michael Jackson, like we heard Kanye West, now we're hearing Gloria Estefan. These are artists who are actually inside the industry, and they're talking about things that it might be opening some of the viewers' eyes. It certainly started opening our eyes when we started doing the research on this topic. And should our governments also have more of an influence on the types of music that's being released into the industry?
It's almost like governments don't interfere with the music industry at all. Governments have guidelines on the broadcast industry, television, okay, and things like that. But with music, it's almost like there's absolutely no control. There's control over the pharmaceutical industry, there's control over agriculture industry, there's control over the fisheries industry, there's control over the finance industry, banking, insurance. No control over music. Absolutely nothing. Don't you find that?
It's kind of strange, but the thing is, because music actually produces money. For instance, when the rap music started in America, America was in total control. But they knew that the moment they can release that across the whole world, people are going to be buying into the American culture, and that's where the money is. So it's all about money at the end of the day, and that's the problem we have today. The government loves anything that brings money. To them, we can't see any problem. We just see people having a good time, drinking, having fun. It doesn't matter. Let them bring the money.
We've got a lovely video, very interesting video actually. This is by Quartz Chavez. He's talking about secular music, worldly music, and the way that we're affected psychologically in the way that the creative side of our brain functions as well, especially when we hear a song. Let's have a listen and see what he says.
Let me just stop right here and say this. The devil has always used music as a cue to bow. Be careful, young lady, what you let yourself listen to. Be careful, young man, what you allow in your earbuds. Be careful, because you don't know what music does to you psychologically as it plays. We just think it's music, but no. Let me just say this to you. Music is the only element on the planet that was not made on the planet. Music is the only thing in the earth that wasn't made in the earth. Music was made in heaven. Wasn't made here. Everything else that we do and manipulate is all earth made, all earth formed. Everything you see was made here. The lights, the sheetrock, everything you see was made here. Music wasn't made here. It was made on a different level, a different plane, and so it operates on a different plane. And guess who made music? Not the devil. If you say the devil, I'm going to be mad at you. The devil did not make music. There's no such thing as devil's music, okay? The devil didn't make music. He was put over in charge of it, but he didn't make it. God made music. And do you know why he made music? So God forms the most powerful element on the planet just about in music, and God gives it one strategic design. One. Music only has one function. And I don't care what degree you have or what theological thought you have right now. It's wrong. Genetically, when you listen to music, as soon as you listen to just about 60 seconds of it, your left brain completely shuts off, shuts down. Literally, your left brain completely turns off. And your right brain, which is creative, your left brain is analytical, solves problems. 2 + 2 is 4. That's all left brain. Right brain is creativity. Right brain is long-term memory. Right brain is dreams and aspirations. Right brain is belief systems and passions. That's right brain. That's why women are more emotional and more creative, because women are right brain. And that's why men won't look at a map, because we're left brain. And we know. We're not lost. I got this. So after you listen to 60 seconds of music, your left brain completely shuts off. And there's no analytical thought process in your brain. So whatever the music is saying is directly dumping into right brain. This is science right now. I'm totally out of the Bible. I'm in science right now. This is scientific. There's a hospital in Toronto right now. They perform one of the most painful surgeries known to mankind. It's a surgery on the femur. Well, in order to give a patient anesthesia for this surgery, the anesthesia almost kills the patient. So in finding a way to get around this, they brought in some scientists, and the scientists said, you know what we'll do? We'll let the patient listen to 15 minutes of Baroque classical music. And after the patient listens to 15 minutes of classical music, they only require half of the anesthesia. It's true. Now you're going to tell me that you can listen to music and not be affected by it? You've lost your whole mind. And they know it. That's why Jay-Z starts his concerts by saying, put your hands up. I'm the J to the H to the O to the B to the A, Jehovah. He calls himself Jehovah. And he says, put your hands up. And they do it. Worship. Worship, worship. When you hear the sound of music, you bow down. Music's the cue. Music's the key. I'm talking to young men and young ladies right now. Your iPods are full of it.
They listen to the lyrics and they follow the musicians. You see a pop concert and anything that pop artist does, it's like they're worshipping a god. That's their god.
But music is comprised of melody and lyrics, all right? And melody is just sounds. Now in nature, different sounds have different effects on different animals. So a lion's roar is so powerful that it can petrify, freeze a victim. All right, and so a lion can roar, and there can be a deer that just can't run away. It's just frozen, and the lion pounces because it's the sound waves. Different sound waves have different impacts on your brain. Now that's just sound. What the music industry has done is they've used the sound as a carrier for a message. Now the Christians do that as well. They use sound, melodic music, as a carrier for worship lyrics. But Satan does the opposite. They use sound. So there's a lot of research, and different sounds have different impacts on the brain, and you use that and marry it with, all right, negative lyrics if it's secular, or positive lyrics if it's Christian and you know, faith-filled songs, in order to be a carrier of a message, and then that affects the whole person.
We've got Harry on the line. Harry, welcome to the show. You got 1 minute to make your comment, and your time starts now.
Hello, it's Jerry, actually.
Oh, sorry, Jerry.
I'm based in Chippenham in Wiltshire, in the UK. I'm a voluntary radio presenter down on a station called Somer Valley FM down in Somerset in the UK. And I do an outreach Christian music show. And basically I've modelled it on the output of Christian outreach radio stations in Australia. We've got Christian radio in the UK. What we have aimed at Christians, what we haven't got is outreach radio, Christian-wise, for the non-Christians. I listen to a lot of Australian Christian outreach radio on the internet. I'll name them: Sunshine 98.5 from Perth in Australia, Light FM from Melbourne in Australia, Hope FM from Sydney, Australia. And I would urge your viewers to listen to some of these outreach Christian radio stations from Australia, because it's my hope and my prayer one day that we get outreach radio like this over in the UK.
Jerry,
they're absolutely fantastic.
Let me just ask you, Jerry.
And they reach the youngsters.
Let me ask you, Jerry, how do you reach out to the youth or non-believers, especially through a Christian radio station?
Mixing very carefully selected positive songs from today's charts alongside all the Christian hits of today. It's a mixture, and it works. It works in Australia. Why can't we have it over here?
Excellent, Jerry. I think that's brilliant. That's an excellent call. Send an email to info@revelationtv.com and tell him to pass on your details to me, Cyrus, and I'll definitely try and get you on the channel. I'd love to do a little interview with you as well. That's so interesting. Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
That's a great topic there, and interesting, because how do you reach out? Because you can have a Christian radio station, and how do you attract the non-believers? If all the songs on the Christian radio station are all worship songs, surely maybe some of the non-believers tuning in might feel a little bit, oh, this is a little bit too much for me. It's interesting how he's mixing between both. What do you think?
It's about being wise, applying the wisdom of God. I remember some years ago, the Lord told me, go on the radio and bring me fresh souls. I decided to do a program. And the program I did wasn't a typical Christian program, because most people just want to preach, but you're just preaching to the converted. So I did a program called The Twilight Zone, and we talk about the supernatural. Talk about witchcraft, about voodoo, about Freemasons, about Mormons, about everybody. And guess what? When I finish with the program, I do a seminar every week. People came to the seminar. And at the seminar, I introduced the Bible. They ended up giving their lives to Christ. But the radio program, majority were watching, and a lot of them were unbelievers. Because it's about being creative, being wise like a serpent and harmless like a dove.
Interesting. I really want to ask our viewers tonight as well is, how do we reach out to the young people, especially through, for example, Christian radio? Should we only be playing Christian music? Is it okay to be mixing secular music and Christian music? What do you think? Please do join in the conversation tonight. 0208 972 1408. We've got a video I want to show you now. It's talking about, should Christian churches be playing secular music? It's an interesting topic. I want to hear from you. Do call into the show, but let's have a look at this video first.
Because the answer can only be found in a truth that comes from Jesus, which, let me just answer a bunch of emails real quick, all right? Which is why we play music from everyone, from the Talking Heads to Eminem to Kendrick on Easter to Brad Paisley and everyone in between. Not because we approve of those people. Not because we approve of their lifestyle. Not because we give, Eminem a pass going, he treats women great. We don't believe that. We don't believe that at all. We're not saying anything about the artists, all right? But here's why we do that. Because they are asking great questions. Questions the church is afraid to ask. Questions about love and about life and about sex and about identity, about value, about purpose that can only be answered and found in Jesus. That's why we do the music we do. And I'll be honest with you, all right? I'm just to be really honest, right? Sometimes we'll just play a song because it's an awesome song. That's Skinner, anything, all right? Well, and it reflects something good that's been given to us from God, like love or passion or sex in marriage, intimacy, where to look for hope and where not to look for hope when your heart is falling apart. Listen, we'll play songs whether they mention Jesus or not, because the truth they speak of comes directly from Jesus. And sometimes, again, all these cards on the table, the only win we need in order to play some songs is for somebody to unclench their fist and take a breath and stop staring at the roof because you're surprised it didn't fall in the moment you came to church, which is what you thought would happen, right? Just take a breath, sit in here and listen to some good music, and then maybe unclench your fist, lean back, and maybe give Jesus a chance. Everything we do is for that reason. Everything, all right? Volume, lights, media, coffee, bagels, tattoo wall. It's not because we found a verse that says that's how you must do it in church. A lot of times we just like it that way. We like it loud. If you don't like loud music, you're going to hate it here, right? Because we like it loud and engaging, and we want to leverage as much creativity that God has entrusted to us in a way that prepares the way for people to bump into Jesus. And we'll use any and every methodology we can.
So that's the question some of the viewers are watching us today as well. They might be saying, but I listened to secular music and I turned out okay, I still have a relationship with Christ. I'm still a very strong Christian. What would you say to that, Alan?
Well, we're not saying that all secular music is bad. I think what we've been saying is that there is music that is sacred music because it's dedicated to God. There's also music at the other end of the spectrum, all right, which is satanic and Satan influenced. Now, in between, there's a huge spectrum. There is a huge spectrum. And even that chap that says, you know, we play secular music in our church, I don't believe that he'd be playing demonic music. I think he'd be playing what he considers neutral secular music. And he's saying there's secular music that asks questions. There's secular music that's sort of expressing how they feel about life, questioning who they are, what they're doing here. And there is secular music like that. So we're not saying, and quite a few of the viewers who called in have said not all secular music is bad. But there was a time when, you know, it was a Christian era, and there was not that much, you know, Mozart, for example, he was commissioned to write sacred music, but he also wrote what we would call secular operas. Yeah. Okay? And it was fine. Elvis Presley sang both secular songs and Christian songs. Slim Whitman. There are people who, Dolly Parton, that's how it was like in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Got Ted on the line. Ted, you there? Have you got 1 minute to make your comment? Your time starts now.
Hi, good evening, brothers. Yeah, I just want to touch on a point that you've made that it's just sort of come up sort of recently. I just wanted to say that I've been following the Lord now passionately for the past 14 years, and not all rock music is of the devil. I truly believe that. Just like to use the example of U2, who are all Christians, and their music is absolutely fused with Bible verses right the way through. It was a fantastic song called When Love Comes to Town with U2 and B.B. King, and it gave a vivid description of the crucifixion and talked about love in Jesus conquering the great divide. Wow. And that was a full-on rock tune, you know, real sort of rhythm, heavy rhythm and blues and stuff like that. Wow. And it was given honour and glory to the youth, like a lot of U2's music does. And there's other bands besides. I've seen Eric Clapton leaping about live on stage, pounding his guitar, praising the name of Jesus and stuff like that, doing church, you know. So not all rock music is of the devil. Brilliant. That's the point I wanted to make.
Well done, Ted. Thank you so much for your call. Got another video I would like to show you. This is an interview that Katy Perry recently did on a channel, and basically she poured out her heart. She admitted that she had suicidal thoughts, and Katy Perry in the past has made some very controversial music videos, quite obscene music videos, but now she's talking about how the grace of God has brought her through suicidal depression. She's also a former she's a pastor's daughter. Her real name is Catherine Hudson, but her stage name is Katy Perry. If you watch the whole interview, it's available on YouTube, you'll see how she just pours out her heart, and she's sincere and she's real. And she says, I can't put up with just being this Katy Perry figure. I want to be Catherine again. And it's interesting when she says that. Then we're going to be following the same video also with Justin Bieber, who's also talking about the importance of God. The point we're trying to make is it's so important for us to try and put this message through some of the world pop stars, reaching out to the secular audience and to talk about God to the secular audience and to the millions of fans around the world. Let's have a look at this now.
I'm ashamed.
Oh.
Because I feel ashamed that I would even like have those thoughts, you know? I'd feel that low or that depressed. And I've been given this gift, but I know that like God has his hand on me, and I know that sometimes I go through things and I think they're just too intense, I can't handle them, and then he swoops in and he shows me that it's his grace.
There is no more morning.
I wrote that song by the grace of God because, you know, I do believe in something much bigger than me.
You search me, and you know. I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make mess, so I sit quiet. Take away from me, no. This is the part of me that you're never gonna take away from me, no. Throw your sticks and your stones, throw your bombs and your blows, but you're not gonna break my soul. This is the part of me that you're never gonna.
God is good in the midst of the darkness. God is good in the midst of the evil.
God is in the midst. No matter what's happening in the world, God is in the midst. And he loves you, and he's here for you. Everybody say, we honor you. And we love you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
I think it's always really kind of wild and amazing to watch such young kids passionately
them
praying.
Just real, authentic, you know? I just think my faith grows every day. So my faith is stronger than 2 years ago, better, stronger, wiser.
And I want to say thank you to all our viewers indeed for all your phone calls, your interaction, your emails and everything else, because it's really your programme. You make Just a Minute happen. So thank you so much for interacting. Yemi, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Allenton, thank you so much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much to our viewers as well. Do remember, if you enjoyed this programme and you want to share it with your friends, then just log on to our website, www.revelationtv.com. Thank you so much, and maybe when we finish this show, you might go and listen to some worship music. Take care, God bless, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.